Hello, everybody. After Work Network here. Not streaming live because I was having a hard time getting that up and going on YouTube. And if you see this crazy little contraption, it's basically just some gaming headphones. Figure instead of holding a microphone the whole time, this might prove to be a little bit better. And it's got one of those spit guards. So basically, I figure our quote today comes from Avatar the Last Airbender, or if you're from other parts of the world, Avatar the Legend of Aang. I have to do a quick adjustment here on the fly. There we go. And so basically what the quote is, I'm going to speak my mind and you're going to listen. This comes from an extremely powerful scene within the third season. I have found a lot of resonance in my own life with this particular scene, and I think a lot of us in the same circles that we're in will find similar parallels to our own lives. And so without further ado, let me see if I can cue it up. There we go. Still going to do the same old low budget.
I'm here to tell the truth.
Telling the truth during the middle of an eclipse. This should be interesting.
First of all, embossing say it was Azula who took down the Avatar, not me.
Why would...
Just so you know, truth will always set you free. That's what he's doing. Zuko here's coming clean.
she lie to me about that?
Because the Avatar's not dead. He survived.
What?
In fact, he's probably leading this invasion. He could be on his way here right now.
Get out! Get out of my sight right now if you know what's good for you.
That's another thing. I'm not taking orders from you anymore.
You will obey me, or this defiant breath will be your last.
Think again. I am going to speak my mind, and you are going to listen.
So before I get too deep into the scene, first and foremost, I think there's some really part of what makes this scene so powerful is that there is a knee-jerk reaction that wicked people, liars, the worst kinds of people that you can imagine, they have a knee-jerk reaction to truth. The second Zuko lays that truth on him that it was actually Azula, his sister, who tried to kill the Avatar, and not him, and how he was still alive, immediately that father's reaction is to kick him out. Say, get out. I don't need to hear this. After all, he's a successful Fire Lord. Why should he? We'll start to see even more parallels as we continue.
For so long, all I wanted was for you to love me, to accept me. I thought it was my honor that I wanted, but really, I was just trying to please you. You, my father, who banished me just for talking out of turn. My father, who challenged me, a 13-year-old boy, to an Agni Kai. How can you possibly justify a duel with a child?
It was to teach you respect.
It was cruel, and it was wrong.
Then you've learned nothing.
No, I've learned everything, and I've had to learn it on my own. Growing up, we were taught that the fire...
Oh, gosh. So, again, really powerful stuff, really getting unpacked here. He goes in to say how his father has been wrong this entire time. For the last 5 or so years of Zuko's life, his father's been dead wrong about so much. How he handled the whole situation all those years ago that has left him permanently scarred. I do have a personal story for this that equates to it, but it's so crazy that he's finally trying to talk these things into him and really say to his father what he's been thinking, what's been on his mind this entire time. And yet, it's still something that he doesn't get through. And we're about to get to the next part, which I think has a lot of parallels with our modern day society, especially in America.
It was the greatest civilization in history, and somehow the war was our way of sharing our greatness with the rest of the world. What an amazing lie that was. The people of the world are terrified by the Fire Nation. They don't see our greatness. They hate us, and we deserve it. We've created an era of fear in the world, and if we don't want the world to destroy itself, we need to replace it with an era of peace and kindness.
He laughs. He laughs at the notion that his son wants nothing more than for peace to reign supreme. And I think that's where as we start to kind of realize how long we've been in the Middle East as a country, speaking specifically of us Americans, and what's actually been going on there, I think we're going to start to realize that there was an amazing lie that was told to us, that we were fighting to bring democracy. Hell, we know there was a lie when it came to those weapons that they had alleged were there that would cause such destruction, and yet nowhere to be found. And so there was this amazing lie that was propagated to us as children, as even with Zuko, especially Zuko and the royal family, that they were doing it to share their greatness. And he is able to look back at that and almost laugh in his voice. What an amazing lie that was. And I think we kind of need to start realizing a similar situation here in the States. Otherwise, we will be condemned to the fate of the Fire Nation. I need to skip ahead here a second.
Maybe he can pass down to you the ways of tea. Since you're a full-blown traitor now and you want me gone, why wait? I'm powerless. You've got your swords. Why don't you just do it now?
Because I know my own destiny. Taking you down is the Avatar's destiny.
Goodbye. Coward! You think you're brave enough to face me, but you'll only do it during the eclipse. If you have any real courage, you'll stick around until the sun comes out. Don't you want to know what happened to your mother?
All snakes always have something to say. So right there is another key, extremely important truth embedded in this very short, less than 5-minute scene. Zuko has every right and would certainly know and find out that there would be lots of history and precedent for a prince to take out the king or the Fire Lord in the events of such terrible war and prolonged suffering of the people. But similar to what Iroh points out later on, Zuko knows that it's not his destiny to take down his own father. That is the destiny of the Avatar, and he has to help the one whose destiny that it is. But to do so would be cowardice, even though the father who inverts it calls him a coward for not running him through right there, even though there's no way Zuko would leave there alive if he did that to his father. He knows. He's smart. He's able to take that and basically ensure that he doesn't fall prey to that trap. But he does fall prey to his father's trap, who entices him by saying that, "Don't you want to know what happened to your mother?" Whew. A boy and his mother. You definitely don't want to get between those two. And the scene continues to progress. I think there's a few more good bits in there. Let's keep going.
What happened that night?
My father, Fire Lord Azulan, had commanded me to do the unthinkable to you, my own son. And I was going to do it. Your mother found out and swore she would protect you at any cost. She knew I wanted the throne, and she proposed a plan in which I would become Fire Lord, and your life would be spared.
So, for those of you who haven't seen the series, this is going to be spoiler-ridden, so I wouldn't watch it if you're ever looking to go into Avatar. But if you're in my age group thereabouts, you've for sure seen it by now, because it was like the best show growing up that we had. And the arc of the characters, the intense storytelling, the sacrifice, the French, like every single part of that show is really dripping with a lot of wisdom that I think got overlooked. And even as you see there, you know, the mother was willing to do those things for Zuko because she was able to destroy the Fire Lord, so that way the evil one, you know, Fire Lord Ozai, could have power and do so, all while taking the birthright from his brother Iroh. And we even see later Iroh, we have Zuko and people go to him saying they don't know where Aang went. He disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And they ask if Iroh can take out the Fire Lord. And he says, "History would just see it as more senseless violence. A brother killing a brother to grab power. The only way for this war to end peacefully is for the Avatar to destroy the Fire Lord. And that's how you know that Zuko's on the right path, because people far older and far wiser than him have the exact same conclusion, that they cannot destroy the Fire Lord. It needs to be the Avatar. And sure enough, it's able to bring in an era of peace, and Zuko's ability to stand up to his father, and eventually in the end of that scene, I mean, there's a great part. Let me just... Alrighty, yes. This part.
Your penalty will be far steeper.
Just look at his face. Oh, it went in the thumbnail. I love Ozai's face in that, because Zuko had learned something. That is the one thing that the Wicked Father does not account for, nor does he ever expect, that the son would learn something that the father didn't teach, and that there's more to be learned, because Iroh teaches that redirecting technique to Zuko. Iroh invented it, and how did he say he invented it? From watching the waterbenders. By studying people outside of his, because the Fire Nation's extremely xenophobic, extremely supremacist, right? He looks at these other cultures and is able to take their knowledge and their wisdom and synthesize it into a brand new firebending technique, the redirection of lightning. And not only is that a super powerful technique, but it's the exact thing that saves Zuko's life and is completely unexpected by the father. And so as we kind of go forward, with everything that's been going on, the craziness these days, I think we do need to realize, we need to look to the people, whether or not they were as wicked or as terrible as the Fire Lord or just fell short. We need to be approaching our fathers and our mothers and, saying these things, speaking our mind. It's so hard to. I mean, he had to do it during an eclipse when his father was powerless, and he had to bring weapons. Like, intense. I wouldn't recommend bringing a piece to when you go to finally talk to your father. I don't think that's going to go over too well, but maybe you need to do that. Like, maybe depending on your family situation or the drama, I mean, maybe you do, but you need to be able to use it in a more defensive way. And again, that's one of those skills that Zuko ends up learning, is the broadswords, and the ability to use them, even and not rely just on his, blood, his gift that he's given by birth, the firebending. He learns the skill of the broadsword. He learns the lightning redirection technique. And those are all things that the Wicked Father doesn't understand. And so for us, as we go forward, I think there's a lot to learn there, speaking the truth and realizing that what an incredible lie. We need to have that same attitude. The tone in his voice, Dante Bosco, voice actor, did amazing with those line deliveries in every single, part of that scene. And how he says, my father, the one who did this, my father, who would duel a 13-year-old boy. And the father has an immediate response. It was to teach you respect. It's like, no, fuck you. It was cruel, and you know it. It's the same kind of thing. There's going to be excuses, and these wicked people that we've been dealing with, whether parents, bosses, friends, whatever, they're always going to have an answer to it. But it needs to be done in such a way that people have a better understanding of what it is people like us, the Zukos of the world, the scarred people, what we think and what we feel, because they have everything they need. We've had nothing, and we're leaving to even less. So, I mean, I hope that that's something we can all navigate properly, because that's an intense scene, and I absolutely love it. So, anywho, sorry for not uploading for a while, between sickness and just A lot of fun stuff going on, a lot of plans in the works. Been just a little bit busy, so I'm going to sign off now. It's the After Work Network. Hope you enjoyed the video, because it's not a live stream anymore. Hope that you have a great rest of the day, evening, whatever you're at right now, and God bless. Take it easy.